We are going to finish Unit 7 today, pretty much. We're going to spend 2 days on this section, a day where you have some time to work. But we're going to solve rational equations. So someone remind me what it means to be rational. Anyone remember what we've been working with the week before we left for spring break? What does it mean to be rational? A ratio, a fraction, right? So today we're going to solve equations with fractions in them. And there are a lot of different ways you can do it. You learned how to do this in Algebra 2, and you may have learned a different way than I'm going to teach you today. I'm going to show you a couple of different options, and you can pick your favorite. The first thing I'm going to show you is cross multiplication, because how many of you know how to do that already? Yes. It is wonderful for a lot of problems, but then other problems it makes them too complicated. So we're going to look at cross multiplication because you already know how to do it, and then we'll go into some things you may or may not know how to do. So how do you do this? What do you get? Perfect. Did everyone get that? Questions about 36 equals x squared? Very good. And what do you do anytime you take a square root? Very good. And then what should we do? Plug it in and check. Does 6/9 equal 4/6? How could you find out? Plug them both in your calculator and check, right? Does -6/9 equal 4/6? Yeah, looks good. Any questions about that one? Okay, let's look at the next one. Cross multiply. Okay, quick question. Where did the 6 come from? Why did I have to do 2 times 3? Good, very good. Now what? Subtract the 3x. And last step, divide by 2. And I get x's. What should I do with that? X equals 3. Plug it in and check. 1/3 plus 2 is 1/5, right? And 3/15 is also 1/5. Good job. All right, any questions about those? All right, so today we're going to look at methods for solving rational equations. As always, we want to not forget things we already know how to do. So, step 1, if cross multiplication looks easy to do it. However, if you have 2 fractions that are added together on one of the 2 sides of the equal sign, probably not going to be our best choice. And there are some other reasons that cross multiplication may not be our best choice. The other 2 options are getting a common denominator on both sides, and then the third one is multiplying by the least common denominator. I am not going to teach you this one. But I wanted to mention it because if you did it last year and you liked it, you know what? Do it. If it worked for you last year, pick it and use it. Finding a common denominator and multiplying by the least common denominator are essentially the same steps. But we've been finding common denominators last week, and you got pretty good at it, so I'm going to stick with what you're good at. So I'm not going to show you number 3. However, if you feel like that's the way you did it in Algebra 2 and you want me to show you that, come see me and I would love to. See that red part? Star that in your notes. In rational equations, there will often be what are called extraneous X-values. We've had those pop up before. Does anyone remember what an extraneous solution is? Here's another root word for you. It's an extra. It's one that doesn't actually work. What causes that are undefined places. We learned last week, are there undefined places on rational expressions? What can't happen on a ratio? What can you not divide by? You can't divide by 0. So anything that makes the bottom 0 is not going to be a real solution because it's an undefined point. So before I ever start the problem, I recommend that you side note out to the side what x can't be. That way if you get it, you go, oh no, it can't be that. So what can x not be? -2? Why not? What's -2 plus 2? And I get 0 on the bottom, that's a problem, right? What else? +2. What about this fraction? What makes the bottom 0 on it? You might need to do a... So the same stuff as the other side, right? So I'm going to mental note that x can't be 2 or -2. If I get either one of those answers, mark them out, say, nope, those aren't really answers. Would cross multiplication be easy to do on this problem? No. It would get very complicated very quick. So I'm going to get a common denominator on the left-hand side of the fraction and on the right-hand side of the fraction. So, it's been a while, a week, you've had a week. What does this left-hand fraction need? And someone remind me what we're thinking. What's the...
We want to be like everyone.
Yeah, we want to be the cool kid. I know it's corny, but it works, right? The left-hand fraction wants to be like this guy. The denominator does. What does he not have that the other guy has?
Negative.
What do you mean a negative? X minus 2, the whole thing, right? You can't just multiply or by negative, so needs the x minus 2. What does the right-hand fraction need? What about the third fraction? What about this one? Why does it not need anything? So it is the cool kid, right? It's because we all wanted to be like, right? Okay, so this one over here, I get x squared minus 2x. Does everyone agree? I want you to tell me what I should get here. What should I get on that next one? Say that again.
Negative 1x.
Good. Very good. Why -2? That's something we forget a lot. Remember this negative. Anytime you see a negative in a two fractions subtracted, remember that negative goes with everything on the top. So you have to be careful. Common mistake place. The denominators stay the same. And the fraction on the right doesn't need anything. Are all the denominators now the same? So, quick question. Side note. Go back to 5th grade math for just a moment. Remember these box problems? Remember the box was always easier than the X, even though it was the same thing. Remember having that question back in like 5th grade? What had to be in the box? Why? Because if they're equal, the bottoms are equal, so the tops would have to be. So maybe they got a little more complicated in 5th grade and did something like this. And you wouldn't have blinked an eye. What would have to go up there if those are equal? Would have to be a 3, correct? If the bottoms are equal, then if the fractions are going to be equal, the tops have to be equal, right? Well, let's fast forward to college algebra. Are the bottoms equal? If these two fractions are going to be equal, what has to be equal?
The top needs to be 80.
That left-hand top would have to equal the right-hand top. I did combine a couple like terms in that step. So this is solving by getting a common denominator. How are we doing so far?
Good.
Good. Is this how we did it last year?
Wait, say what?
Did we do it this way last year? We know. Any questions? No. How do you solve something that looks like this? Before I can factor, what do I have to do?
Move the 8 over.
I have to have 0 on one side. And someone remind me, if you don't know how to factor, if for some reason you've made it this far and can't, what do? You have a calculator program that will do that for you, right? What are the factors of 10 that subtract to give you 3?
2.
X minus 5 and x plus 2. And so x equals 5 and negative 2, right? We're good? We done?
So you can't be.
Why?
Because it's yeah.
I said at the top, right? X can't be negative 2, right? So, well, this can't be that. And then what would be a really good idea, especially as I'm new at this?
Check it.
See if 5 works. Go back to the very original when you check your work, in case any place along the way you made a mistake. You can use your calculator to plug that in. Put the 5 everywhere you see an X. And so I would get 5 over 7 minus 1 over 3. And my question is, does that equal 8 over 25 minus 4, which is 21. So check that in your calculator. Someone do that for me. Does everyone see how I got that? Does it work? Okay. Try this one. Now, I am teaching you how to do this by hand. equations in this class. What else can you do to solve equations? Good. Can't you solve every equation that you encounter in high school in your calculator using your intersection button? So while you're doing this at home, can you check all the answers in your calculator? Do that still. Remember, every time we bring up a new equation type, we learn how to check. So don't forget to do that as well. So I want you to try this one. Okay, so you tell me, what does the fraction with the x plus 2 need? An x, right? Ah, okay, I like that. I think it needs an x and a 5. We all agree with that?
Yeah.
To be the cool. Very good. So the x needs an x plus 2 and a 5. Why not an x?
Because it already has an X. No.
You see?
What's that?
And a 5. That's a great question. What should that be on top?
This is the last one.
And the last one needs an x plus 2. Did everyone hear James's question? And was it Chris that answered that? And Chris's answer? Why did it not need a 5x, the middle fraction? Why did it not need a 5x? It already had an x, right? But it just needed a 5. And the last piece needs x plus 2. So I get 15x. You tell me the next part. Minus 10.
There's the negative.
The negative, remember that whole fraction is subtracted, so everything that's on the top needs to be negative. No. It goes either one place or the other. Negative 1/4 could be negative 1/4, or negative 4. Okay, any questions about that? Combine like terms. This one a little easier to solve than the last one. easier to solve than the last one. Why do we have to get 0 on one side? Factor. What did that one have that this one doesn't? It has x squared. Remember, if we have a power higher than 1, that's when it gets a little tricky and we have to factor. This one just has plain x's, so how do we approach solving when we just have plain x's? Get all the x's on the same side and all the non's on the same side, right? And simplify the 12 ninths to be what? What do I need to do with the 4/3? Check it. Go in and check it. Now, what did I not do this time that I did last time? And we'll see if it's okay. I didn't mention what x couldn't be, right? As long as I check my answer, I will be fine, right? But just mental note, what could x not have been? It couldn't be 0. -2. Try it. Is that okay? I think that's it, right?
Yeah.
This is all the x couldn't be. So as long as I didn't mess up, that answer should work, right? Is there a chance I messed up though? So get your calculator out, put it in for x. You all try it. See if it works. How do we do it? So we've never seen this before? Anything like this? No way to solve this? We'll do the SAT though.
Little guessing.
I guess you can just plug all in and see which one works. True. But I taught you that. Before that. So for you juniors, this is good stuff. Did y'all get those back? Awesome. So again, you didn't get homework. How many do you 3? Right, and so it will need the x minus 3. So it would be x minus 3 over l. Probably not.
But since you put that one over 1 with the other equations, leave 1 in.
I'm not sure. What's 1 times anything? But sure. Did it work? Any questions? At this point, we're doing more examples. Same stuff, more examples. Tomorrow, we're going to work on another worksheet a lot like this. I won't teach as long tomorrow. We're almost done. Getting close. Right. It is due tomorrow. What does this first fraction need? What should we really probably do first? Factor this piece. And we're really lucky, aren't we? What do I mean by we're really lucky? It already has all the stuff from the left. So what does the first fraction need? And what does the second fraction need? And what mental note, what can X not be? 2 and 4. 2 and 4. Do what? That's, yeah, those are the things it can't be. Because that would make the bottom 0. Does that make sense? All right, first fraction, x squared minus 4x. Second fraction, x minus 2. That's a minus, by the way. It kind of looks like a plus there. Equals 2. Where did my denominators go? Where'd they go? Where'd they go? If the bottoms are the same, what can I do with them? Ignore them. So I'm ignoring them. Currently ignoring them. Ignoring them is why I have to check for extraneous solutions. If I weren't ignoring them, I wouldn't have that problem. How do you solve if there is an x squared involved? Get 0 on one side and factor. If it won't factor, use quad 3. Use the quadratic formula program. So I get x equals 4 and -1. Done?
But it can't be 4.
Oh, it can't be 4. You see why it's nice to have written this at the top? Because you go, oh wait, it can't be that. Of course, if you check both answers, you would find that, because you'd find when you plugged in 4, what would your calculator say when you tried to type 1 divided by 0? Error. It would say you can't do that. So it would tell you if you plug them in, but we can kind of have a heads up that that's coming. Chris, this one will answer your question from earlier. What do you do if there's no denominator on one side? 3 over 1, right? Now, I want to bring up an option. Can I get a common denominator? Works great. What else could I do on one that looks like this, though? Couldn't I just cross multiply? So I just want to point that out, that you could still use cross multiplication sometimes. Would cross multiplication have been easy up here? Not at all. So I'm not saying get rid of cross multiplication. We just need more tools for things that cross multiplication doesn't work for. If I cross multiply, would you agree I'll get x squared plus x equals 72? Does everyone agree with that? What if I got a common denominator? What does this fraction need? On top and bottom. An x. What does this one need? If you must, a 1, right? What's 1 times anything? What do you get either way? Exact same thing. So you notice it doesn't matter if you cross multiply, it doesn't matter if you get common denominators, you're going to end in the same spot. So whatever works for you works for me. There's an x squared. What do I do when there's an x squared? Get 0 on one side and factor. If you have been unsuccessful with factoring to this point, do not stop. What do you do instead of stopping? Quad 3, right? X is 8 and negative 9. What should I do with those since I haven't mentioned anything about what X can't be? Check them. By the way, what can X not be? 0, so they should both work. Now, is there a chance I've messed up in my work? Especially when you're new at this, so go ahead and check them. But as long as you're not 0, they should both work. 8 plus 1 is 9. 72 divided by 8 is 9. Negative 9 plus 1 is negative 8. 72 divided by negative 9 is negative 8. We're good either way. Works both ways. Okay, you have your homework. You have about 15 minutes left in class. Go.